With barely a month to the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly, the race for who becomes the next Senate President has heightened, with candidates positioning themselves for the top job. The race has also thrown open debates about the origin of the ranking rule and whether or not it can be bypassed to allow a fresh senator to emerge as Senate President. Our Rice correspondent Omo Bazwaye tells us more.
Olusegun Obasanjo.
After 13 years of military rule, Nigeria returned to democracy in 1999, and with new senators elect. It was from among them that the first Senate President in the 4th Assembly, Evan Everim of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), representing Imo East, was nominated and elected. His reign was short, and he was eventually kicked out of office and replaced by a flamboyant orator in Chuba Okadigbo from Anambra North. He too didn't last long. He was also a fresher with no ranking experience. Next was Ayim Pius Ayim from Ebonyi South, who held fort as Senate President till 3rd of June 2003, after he fell to the proverbial banana peel, paving way for Senator Adolphus Wabara. Both men were also new senators with no ranking experience. All of that time, the lawmakers who became Senate presidents were freshers and mainly from the southeast with no ranking experience or superiority. The legislative tradition of ranking didn't quite play any significant role, even when a few senators at that time, like Idris Kuta from Niger State, were ranking and had served in the House of Representatives in 1979.
At the starting point, it's a level playing field. But as the institution begins to mature and to age, you begin to introduce traditions to guide the institution. For instance, you take the legal profession. For you to be a judge, it's in the Constitution. You must have done 10 years as a lawyer. Why don't they appoint you a judge on your first day? You take the military. You move from rank to rank. Why don't they just admit you in the military and make you a general on the same day?
The issue of ranking surfaced for the first time in 2003 and gained wide acceptance by the time Ken Nnamani took over from Adolphus Wabara in April 2005. It had become so well established that in 2007, when David Mark from Benue South took the reign of leadership, the issue played a major factor in his election as Senate President. The same ranking was then applied when Bukola Saraki, a two-term senator, emerged in 2015 from Kwara Central and from the governing All Progressive Congress (APC) as Senate President, albeit in difficult circumstances and against the wishes of his APC, who had a preferred candidate in Ahmed Lawal. Lawal had to wait another 4 years to claim the seat which he currently occupies in the 9th Senate. He had been in the Senate since 1999. Now the 10th Senate is expected to be inaugurated next month in June, but ahead of the proclamation ceremony, the race for the next Senate President has heightened, throwing up debates around the issue of ranking once again. The Senate Standing Order spells out clearly in Section 3.2 that the nomination of senators to serve as presiding officers and appointments and other officers of the Senate or any parliamentary delegations shall be in accordance with ranking of senators. The rulebook went further to state that in determining ranking, the following orders shall apply. 1. Senators returning based on the number of times re-elected. 2. Senators who had been members of the House of Representatives. And 3. Senators elected for the first time. From the look of things, the rulebook did not rule out first-timers, and there are concerns that with the current composition of the 10th Senate, which is dominated by newcomers, the ranking senators may have a difficult time protecting their age-long tradition of ranking.
This is something that I'm afraid in this situation, because you insist, you talk about the ranking. When you are sure that the number of senators coming in are at least half of the returning members.
In the same vein, Section 50, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution seems to place the lawmakers as equals when it says there shall be a president and a deputy president of the Senate who shall be elected by the members of the House from among themselves.
You cannot read Section 50, subsection 1A in isolation. You must read it. It's what we call community reading. You must read the whole Constitution. And if you read the whole Constitution, you will also find Section 60 of the Constitution, and I will read it. Section 60 says, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the Senate or House of Representatives shall is mandatory, have power to regulate its own procedure, shall have.
But to resolve all of these issues, the party majority, and in this case, the APC, might need to quickly step in and give direction on where it wants to zone the positions. But in doing so, many believe it has to be done in the spirit of Nigeria's power sharing and balancing arrangements. But even if the APC National Working Committee zones the positions, it will still not be a guarantee that the senators would not go against the party's decision by independently voting someone that they trust and believe in, like it happened with Bukola Saraki in 2015. The portrait of senators that have at one time or the other occupied the position of the Senate President in Nigeria adorn the hallway of the Senate building, telling a story of their era in power. It is a gallery of leaders that is bound to continue in the 10th National Assembly, but with only the senators elect themselves that can take the decision of who follows in the lineage of the Senate President. Omo Bazwai, Arise News.